how this pathophysiology goes in thalassemia. So to understand, we are taking example of beta thalassemia because this is what is relatively more prevalent. Okay, so we are aware there are two chains, beta chains and alpha chains. This beta globin and alpha globin. Okay, if there is a beta thalassemia, there is a mutation, so less and less quantity of qualitatively normal beta cell are going to produce. Quality wise they are okay, but quantity is decreased. The quantity produced, if there is some of beta chain are there, they will pair with the alpha chains. In the this hemoglobin, the very first lecture about the hemoglobin structure and production, we learned about this alpha and beta chain are produced in exactly same amount, so that if alpha pairs with beta end of the synthesis, there is no alpha chain, no beta chain remains. But if beta chains are defective, less beta chain will be produced, but alpha chain will be produced as before. So there is more number of alpha chains and less number of beta cells. So this less number of beta cell combined with the equivalent number of alpha cell to form normal hemoglobin, that is hemoglobin A. Since this beta globin is reduced in quantity, so the normal hemoglobin will be reduced in quantity, leading to anemia. Okay. Now say if beta chain production was 25% of the normal and alpha chain production was 100%. If 25% of the chains will pair with the 25% of alpha chain, so 75% of alpha chain remains free. Free globins are not soluble. So it will lead to the precipitation, polymerization alpha chain and precipitation. This precipitation can be inside the precursor cell or it can be inside the RBC. And this precipitations are known as inclusions. And this inclusion leads to the destruction of these cells. So in bone marrow, this toxic inclusions leads to the destruction of erythropoietic precursor cell, and this is what known as ineffective erythropoiesis. Okay, and if there is ineffective erythropoiesis, means less and less hemoglobin is going to enter into circulation, leading to anemia. Okay, in the RBCs, this leads to the decrease in the lifespan of RBC. Okay, this RBCs with the inclusion bodies go inside the spleen, and spleen is what is known as graveyard of RBCs. So these RBCs are going to be destroyed inside the spleen. Okay, so two things happens because of this. First, there is destruction of RBC, means hemolysis. So patient will present as the jaundice, and in chronically they can present with the pigment gallstone. And if there is hemolysis, it will be going to produce anemia. Okay, spleen is working more than expected. It is bearing the brunt of RBCs with inclusions. So spleen will enlarge in size, and this is known as splenomegaly. If there is more and more splenomegaly, more and more RBCs are going to be destroyed, and this is something known as hypersplenism. So more and more hemolysis and more anemia. So splenomegaly is something viciously related to the anemia and RBC inclusion. Okay. Now we have reached the central node or central manifestation of thalassemia, that is anemia. The rest of all due to this anemia. Okay. If there is anemia, and there is normally the bone marrow is having ineffective erythropoiesis, so body start producing hemoglobin or RBCs from the extramedullary site. So three of the extramedullary site we are well aware of: the bones, the liver, the spleen. Okay. So if there is extramedullary synthesis as a spleen, means spleen will enlarge in size, leading to splenomegaly. If more splenomegaly, more hemolysis, more anemia. So it is again a vicious cycle. If extramedullary hematopoiesis occur at liver, it will lead to the hepatomegaly. There are two types of bone marrows. This red bone marrow is in flat bones and end of the long bone. Okay. So in flat bones, usually the facial bone, the structure of facial bone changes because of the marrow expansion. And patient may present with the chipmunk facies. We'll discuss what are the components of chipmunk facies. In the long bones, what happens? There is cortical thinning, and this will lead to the development of osteoporosis and pathological fracture. Okay. Okay. The second is this anemia requires blood transfusion. If you transfuse blood, there are basic two effects over this thalassaemic patient. One is beneficial effect. The beneficial effect is these blood transfusion are going to improve oxygenation of patient, and if there is improved oxygenation and anemia, it will lead to the suppression of endogenous hematopoiesis, maybe it ineffective erythropoiesis or extramedullary hematopoiesis. Okay, but these patients require repeated transfusion of blood. This will lead to the iron overload or secondary hemosiderosis, and this secondary hemosiderosis lead to the different organ dysfunction. Like in heart, it will lead to the restrictive or systolic or diastolic dysfunction or arrhythmias. In endocrine system, it can precipitate inside different glands, leading to the hypofunction of different glands. Okay. To summarize this pathophysiology, see, this anemia is having the central feature in the pathophysiology. The first part of flowchart till here is dealing with the generation of anemia, and the second part is dealing with the effect of anemia over thalassemia. So you remember the single note you have to remember for anemia. The flowchart converging to the anemia is pathophysiology of anemia in beta thalassemia, and the flowchart diverging from anemia is manifestation of the effect of this anemia over thalassaemic question. So it looks complicated, but once you understand, it is very easy to remember. And once you remember the pathophysiology, you can easily devise the clinical picture. Because anemia can present with the features very common in anemia, like the loss of stamina, easy fatigability, pallor, and patient is having hemolysis, so patient will present as jaundice. So you can guess the clinical feature. Patient may be having organomegaly, like hepatosplenomegaly. In flat bones, there is expansion, so patient may present with the chipmunk facies, and if you take the X-ray of skull, it will lead to hair on end appearance. In bones, if you can find the osteopenia and osteoporosis and pathological fracture. Another feature of organ dysfunction if iron overload is there. Okay. One thing, this extramedullary hematopoiesis, there is high turnover of red blood cells. If there is high turnover of any cells, any cell division, it will going to be very exhaustive demand of calories. If more and more calorie demand is there, patient may develop cachexia and other manifestation, like patient will be at risk of infection. So this is holistically about the pathophysiology, and if you remember this pathophysiology, it will be enough for writing the clinical features.